Hey, welcome to the Plain Donuts Podcast. This is your co-host, Steve. I hope you've prepared your hearts for some wonderful moments on this episode. Enjoy the show! That's 5 seconds.
Is it 5 seconds?
But Alicia has to find me a picture.
I gotta find a picture. Here it is. So it's a picture of Jaden Smith at the 2017 Met Gala, and he is holding a bouquet of his own chopped off dreads in his hands. That's it, right? That's...
Yeah, he looks like a politician of the future. Like he looks like he's about to order the 45th Hunger Games or something.
He kind of does, and he made that. It's like a whip out of his own hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jaden Smith and his 45th
He's so
Hunger Games.
avant-garde.
I don't know. Some Hunger Games fan out there is going to be like, I can't believe you got the number wrong.
Yeah.
Guys, calm down.
Stop being such nerds.
Oh!
Anyways, welcome to Plain Donuts Podcast. I'm your co-host, Alicia.
I am your co-host, Steve.
And y'all are huge nerds.
All of you are D-holes.
But I love
Nerdy
y'all.
D-holes.
Yes, that's our name for you, by the way.
Donut holes, yeah.
You guys voted for that.
You guys,
You wanted it.
There were like 45 votes or something.
Yeah, it was a significant amount of votes for donut holes.
Yeah, it was pretty. And I'm like, okay, D-holes, this is what you wanted.
What you want, and that's what you
We're
got.
really good at ostracizing our audience from being part of our friends.
We love it.
Just kidding. We love you guys. I'm so sorry for being rude.
We love you.
I have a tiny, adorable chicken thing that is like completely messed up. It's
It's really cute.
It's so cute, but mostly because it's like it was born deformed or something.
Oh,
like
that's not. I just thought it was cute because it was small.
Oh, I see. Anyway,
Put it over here.
Okay, great. Fantastic.
I'm sorry. That was just.
I don't know what's going on. I have to like this thing on Facebook. Anyway,
We're kind of a little all over the place
it's
today.
been a little batty today. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's just a little weird here at the Plain Donuts studio.
Solitarium.
What even is that word?
Solitarium?
Yeah.
It is a...
Alicia, you've read like 8,000 books. You could learn how to say a word.
I read them. I don't say them out loud.
That's true. It's true.
And a solitarium is like a planetarium, but it focuses
For the
on,
sun?
But it's actually air. It's not the sun.
Oh.
Isn't that weird?
That
I
is
thought it would
weird.
be the sun, yeah.
Well,
So
we're
it's just
not
like
focused on air.
It's just like an open air, like...
We are on air.
We are on air.
So stupid. We're actually not on air.
Yeah.
Like,
we're just recording our air.
Right.
It comes from our mouths.
yeah, if you're listening to this, though, we are on air.
Yeah.
In
And
your ears.
amazingly enough, there are little tiny bones in your ears that are vibrating and touching your eardrum and sending signals to your brain, and that's how you hear.
I'm vibrating your tiny ear bones right now.
Do you like it?
Oh man, I bet people thought that was really gross and weird.
This is gross. This is
Or
not
like
ASMR.
very ASMR.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh,
Yeah, we have-
Steve, stop! Stop it, Daddy! Just joking.
This is a weird one. This is
Sorry.
weird. Steve-
Welcome to the Plain Donuts Podcast.
How has your week been?
Oh shoot. It's been good. So I talked at this thing at Sheer yesterday, but only like 6 of us showed up. So like only the very corest people who go were there, and so yeah, totally hardcore. So it was really weird because I had like prepared to speak for at least a slightly larger group, and it
Yeah.
was very small and awkward. I don't know, it's a little weird. It's weird when you like work hard on this thing and try to prepare and make it good, and then you show up and it's just a couple of your friends and nobody else shows up. Like everybody there is generally my friend, but like it's just different. It's very hard for it, and they were fine. They're like, this isn't awkward, just go through your thing. And I was like, it's not awkward for you, but for some reason it's awkward for me. And I don't know why I just started singing that. I really apologize. Anyway, so that was cool, but it was fun. But it's one of those things where I feel like, do you ever do this thing where you probably have, like playing violin or whatever, you get prepared and you get all ready and amped for this thing, and then you do the thing, and then afterwards you're just like totally drained.
Yeah. I usually feel like I don't know. I always hated doing performances. Especially, we had these things, I don't know if you've ever done it before, where you would have to prepare like a piece of music and you would memorize it and you would go to these judges. I can't remember what it was called here in Utah.
Oh, yeah.
And they would give you a score from like 1 to 5 or whatever, and give you feedback or whatever.
Yeah, we did. I can't remember what it's called either, but I did that.
Yeah, and I hated that. That was like the worst. I would much rather perform in front of like a group of people than have to do that.
Oh yeah, that does suck.
Because in a group of people, you know, they can like clap for you and be like, "Good job" or whatever.
Well, and I'm like very much a crowd work kind of person.
So you just gotta go around and work that crowd.
It doesn't work with judges. How y'all doing, huh? So you having fun tonight?
Yeah, and they're just like, please play etude number 3. And like,
please play your dumb trumpet. And I'm like, it's a Jupiter. It costs $75 like at the store or whatever. It's probably like $300, but still. Anyway.
That's not as expensive as I thought a trumpet would be.
Well, it was one of the cheapy ones.
Yeah. What's the difference between a cheap trumpet and a more expensive trumpet?
In price or in like the quality of build?
In quality. Like the sound, I guess, mostly.
So I think it's a lot to do with it's somewhat to do with like the parts and how they fit together and the metal itself and that kind of thing. Somewhat to do with that, but also like the craftsmanship in the working pieces, like your valves have to go up and down, and that on a good trumpet that's really smooth, and there's no like when a valve's down, there's no air release and all that kind of stuff. So like you just have a really strong tone all the time, no matter how you play the instrument. Whereas with cheaper ones, that kind of stuff can kind of be fudged a little bit. So it's mostly about like craftsmanship, I think.
Yeah, that's interesting because like when I think about violins, it's kind of the same. Like if you play a cheap violin, it has like a terrible tone because of usually it's like not put together properly, or they put too much like lacquer on the outside, or the sound post is not in a good spot or something. Yeah. So welcome to Plain Notes, where we talk about musical instruments.
I know, seriously, welcome to the nichiest part of our podcast probably ever.
Ever, yeah.
We made it. We did it.
We did it.
So anyway, yeah, it's we went from talking about our like cool performances to like
what's the difference between this trumpet and this trumpet?
What are the details of these orchestral instruments? Like really good podcasting.
Yeah. And it's actually funny because if you played trumpet, you would have been in bands, and I would have been in an orchestra. So even if we went to the same high school, we would have never been in the same group.
Nope. Well, and I'm much older than you, so
if we were the same age and we were to go to this fictional same high school.
If I were in high school at the same time as you, there's a problem.
Do you think we would have been friends in high school? Do you think about that sometimes?
I was friends with pretty much anybody who would have me, so
like, yeah, sure, I'll have you.
Yeah, like I was like, hey guys, I like fantasy novels and band. What do you like? Football. And it's like, okay, cool. You don't probably like me very much, do you?
I mean, I did hang out with a lot of kids that did like the theater and Shakespeare performances and things. So I feel like we probably would have been friendos.
Were you in drama class? You were in art classes.
I was in art class.
We probably would have.
I was the president of the anime club in high school.
That's awesome. Do you watch anime now?
I occasionally still do. Yeah.
Aldo's like right now thinking,
Aldo's like very nice,
cool person. Although if this is your first time on the podcast, Aldo was a guest host just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
and he's really into movies and anime and video games and things, which I dabble in. I'm not like huge into, but this
is another thing that I've figured out is like I can't be a fan of things like I can't be the type of like con-going obsessive kind of fan. I can't make my life about stuff. Yeah. Like I just can't do it. It's weird.
That person. Like
you're president of the anime club.
And like early college, I was like into the conventions. I made my costumes. I dressed up. I like was the character. I I was the biggest fan of Full Metal Alchemist. That was like my number one.
That was your jam?
That was my jam. I like memorized all the episodes. I like could sing the songs in Japanese.
Nice.
I was such a weeboo. Is that what they call them?
I have no idea.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't know what they call them now, but yeah,
You're like very wrong for that stereotype.
I know. Like, who's this half white, half other person?
Other. When they ask race on surveys, do you just push? Do you select other?
Usually because the other ones don't apply to me.
Yeah.
So I usually have to select other because it was.
Or like prefer not to respond.
Yeah, and there was actually a time in high school. This is an interesting story. We're getting kind of in the.
No, I like interesting
time,
stories.
But
so do the D-holes.
Hey, thanks, D-holes. I had gotten my little Scantron, end of level tests, right? You get your papers, and it's like a really long process to fill all these tests out over a period of a week, I think. Mm-hmm. And I got my test packet or whatever, and I opened it up, and they always say check your name, check your address, check your race or whatever, make sure everything's correct. So I was reading through it, and it's like kind of already filled out for you. Mm-hmm. And I got to the part where it described race, and I was listed as black.
Nice.
And I was like, I'm not black at all. So I
would look at that and be like, thank you.
So he was like, oh, it's so great. Best day of my life.
Which is really bad, actually, like, if you think about it, because, oh, man, I am such a problematic person.
Just
anyway,
tossed a chicken.
I'm sorry. I did just toss a chicken.
A little rubber chicken.
I'm very sorry for my problematism.
So problematic. But it was... So I went up to the teacher, right? And it turns out it was actually a big problem, like way bigger problem than I was just like, oh, they just filled it in wrong, like no big deal or whatever. But apparently it like got all this. Whoa, I hit a bag. I got like it was crazy. Like the teacher had to get the principal, and they had to pull in like the people who like handed out the test. And I think it was because they were like really trying to make sure it was like the correct demographic or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And because I was like one of the few like other children in the school, I was like really going. It was a small high school. Like I was really going to skew like the results of what it was going to be like. And they're like, okay, like we don't know what to do. And so my dad actually, I remember this. He had to come in, and he had to like go before this like board and be like, my daughter is not black. Does she look black too?
Jeez.
And like, because they wouldn't change it unless there was like a solid reasoning behind it.
This is like
I can't even imagine what it would be like now.
This is like a bizarro April Dolezal situation.
Yeah,
Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, except it was like the opposite. I'm like, I'm not black. And they're like, but it says it on your test. I'm like, I promise. Like, I don't know what to do. And so it was weird.
The paper says you're black, and you're like,
I'm not.
Sorry.
I'm trying not to. I don't want to. It was weird. So
I am just not.
I don't know what you want me to say. Like I'm not black.
Oh man.
So it was bizarre. So
it's I appreciate what you bring to the table as a person.
All of my really weird things that happened to me, like pretending to be a Navy wife, to also, people thinking that I'm black when I'm not black. It's just, I am all over the place. It's a little bit of a crazy town.
Sorry, I had to, there was a noise and I had to get it out of here.
Get that noise out of here.
Yeah, it's kind of nuts, all that stuff you've got. You could really angle toward writing pieces for Huffington Post, and
really?
they would publish your stuff all day. They don't pay you for it.
Well, why would I even do that?
People do, because Huffington Post is a large platform, but like, to me, I'm just like, ugh.
Why do that work and then get them those like clicks and subscriptions without getting any compensation?
That's a good question.
If you're writing for the Huffington Post and you're not getting paid, you just need to stop and reevaluate your life.
Get them.
Got him.
Anyway, no, I'm very much I'm a huge proponent of people getting paid for their work.
Fairly.
So,
if you're an artist or creator and you're doing spec work or something, just stop.
And we get paid a lot for this podcast.
We get paid so much money.
So, just kidding. Dang.
We get paid negative money.
Dang, I wish we did get paid.
Yeah.
If you want to sponsor this podcast, yourplaindonuts@gmail.com.
Send us an email.
Or just hit us up at yourplaindonuts.com.
Yeah.
Anyway, that would be... we have a question about this later, so I'd like to go in a little bit right now and just talk about where we stand. This is sort of the state of the podcast for episode 33. We are near to having 1,000 downloads every 2 months.
Yes.
So...
Which sounds like it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But it's taken us a while to get to this point.
Well, and the thing is once we have a consistent 1,000 downloads every month, every 2 months, we can actually legitimately start selling advertising on a 8-week basis.
Yeah.
Not very expensive advertising, of course.
Yeah.
And we would, for those of you who are like, why are you trying to sell out? Here's the thing. We would have a small section in the middle of the podcast where we promote things.
Yeah.
That sounds very different from our current podcast situation. I'm just kidding.
Go through it anyways.
Yeah.
So the middle section, it's 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It wouldn't even be that. It would be 30-second, whatever.
Yeah, little 30-second pieces that just extol the virtues of somebody who decided to pay us money.
Yeah. And, it does cost us a little bit of cash to put this together.
That's true. Well, and even then, unless we would have to sell at least 2 of those middle things for it to actually pay back itself at that rate of downloads. And here's the other thing, is if we started growing rapidly, and you bought an 8-week run, I guess, I don't know. I used to sell weekly newspaper advertisements, so that's how I think in terms of weeks, but I don't know if that's how it works. Seems like it would, because we produce a podcast weekly.
Yeah,
but, anyway, so if you bought an 8-week run and we happen to grow to the next tier of CPM, inside of those 8 weeks, you got the cheaper tier, right?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So anyway, not that we're growing at that rapid of a rate, but we are consistently growing, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, I don't know if you guys care about all that crap, but I think it would be cool for us ultimately to get paid back a little bit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
At least I would like it so we could pay for ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we are, we're coming out with stickers and we're doing a couple of other fun things too. Yeah. We want to send to you guys. So we just want to give you cool stuff. And who doesn't want cool stuff? Right. So.
Yeah. Speaking of, sorry, this is a tangent. Philip DeFranco, he just released a video today saying, I'm finally a free agent again. I'm not part of any network. I'm an independent creator.
Interesting.
So he's been part of Discovery Networks and another network for a while. I don't know which one he was most recently part of, but he's kind of free again. He's working to start his own news network, which is kind of what he's been doing with the Philip DeFranco show, with a focus on fairness, balance, and so fairness, reporting correctly, and then also making clear the correct reporting, and then also providing an opinion, right? That's his whole thing. Yeah. That's thing.
What his show is essentially. Anyways.
So they're basically saying we don't want to be beholden to any advertisers or whatever in this endeavor. We just want to do it for the people who want it. So they're crowdfunding the whole thing through Patreon, which it's I'm sorry, this is sort of an advertisement, but through DeFrancoElite.com, you could go and be a patron there. I don't know. They don't. Well, I guess they do have tiers. The bottom tier is $5 a month. So I was thinking about this just because I'm always curious, and I understand this kind of stuff never is going direct, especially at a production like the Philip DeFranco show. It's not going directly into his pocket, right?
Yeah.
A lot of this money is used to keep the thing alive.
Yeah.
But if
it's a lot of operations sort of thing too. So
yeah. So, but if each of those people, he released that video today. They already have over 7,000 patrons, which is crazy. But if each of those people were paying $5 a month, they're making $35,000 a month just out of one day, right?
That's so crazy.
That's pretty.
That's a decent amount of cash to not only do your production, but pay yourself and pay your staff a decent wage.
Well, and the thing about DeFranco is that
because Because he has a pretty big staff, right?
Yeah, even right now, I think he hires like 10 people or something like that. So he has to keep a lot of people going. But the thing about DeFranco is people love him exactly for his reporting of the news in the way that he's trying to find the actual truth, and then he'll provide his opinion on it, just like he wants to do with his whole network. So people are getting behind that, which I think is pretty cool. But anyway, I don't know why I brought that up. I just thought it was an interesting factoid. But yeah, that's pretty crazy. Like $35K a month to keep your stuff going is not bad.
What would we even do if we have $35K a month?
We would hire people. We would do more podcasts. We would do YouTube shows.
We would go on the road.
Sure. Yeah. I would have to bring my wife and dogs probably. Yeah.
For $35K a month, we can do whatever we want, Steve.
Seriously. But anyway, like, I think it's cool that people are supportive of creators that are doing cool things. I like that.
It's not dead.
The internet?
The internet's not dead.
You're right. You're right, it's not. Okay. So, anyway, we should get to our actual questions so that we can, like... I told Alicia we would speed through this podcast. That's a 20-minute intro. Did you like it? Welcome to the podcast.
So today we did a AMA, Ask Me Anything, or a UA, Ask Us Anything.
That was another question. The question is it, for me, is it an AMA, which is an Ask Me Anything, or is it a UA?
Yeah.
Right? Like you just said.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't even see that part yet, so that was weird.
Really?
I didn't read that. Yeah.
It was on Twitter.
Oh.
Weird. Our brains are connected a little.
That's
podcast brain.
Podcast brain. The brain hive. We are one.
It's because our producer Otto is here. He's helping us keep this ship a running.
Yeah.
Seriously, if we had $35,000 a month, let's just hire everybody's families.
Yeah, that sounds like fun. We could do it.
Yeah, Otto's
making it rain.
I know. Anyway, it's funny because you're like, what would we even do with that much money? And I'm like, I know exactly what I would do.
Yeah. Like, part of me also would just want to do like ridiculous things. Like, we're podcasting from a hot air balloon. You know, like crazy, stupid stuff.
You would suggest that idea, and my brain would go, how do you get the audio to work in a hot air balloon? How does this happen?
We have $35K a month. We'll figure it out.
I know, seriously. Could finally get some new microphones.
Hot air balloon microphones.
Anyway.
Good for 2,000 feet or up.
I just got distracted by seeing Otto's lovely face. So my wife's here too. She's working on crafts. So anyway, as is always the case, we send out our petition for questions, comments, confessions, whatever, every week through our social media channels. If you answer through the Plain Donuts official social media channels, you're much more likely to have your questions or comments or confessions read or answered on the podcast. So we didn't have any responses on Twitter. Last week we had our boy Vance.
Yeah, Vance.
And who actually retweeted us.
Oh,
Thank you, Vance.
He is a total stranger to us.
I know.
Which is really exciting.
He came on from Brandon's episode, which is pretty pretty awesome. We appreciate you sticking around, my man. Yeah. Anyway, so we didn't get any feedback on Twitter. I have our Facebook thing pulled up. Do you as well?
I do as well.
Do you want to read the first question?
Sure. This one's from Aldo, our person that was a guest.
Our homie Aldo.
He asked us, this is a good question. If you had a Hollywood budget, what would you make a movie of? Like, basic synopsis, dream cast, and or staff? It's a very good question.
That is a really good question. Yeah. It's a hard one, man.
I actually think I know what I would make my movie
Go for it, yeah.
Okay, so my favorite book of all time is a young adult novel that was written in, like 1998 or something. It's called Bottled Up. It's like I really love the story. It's about a kid who smokes pot and cigarettes or whatever, and he's like in high school, and it's kind of like this obvious like melodramatic situation. Mm-hmm. But his father is an alcoholic, and he has like a younger stepbrother. So you think it's going to be kind of like a situation where, like there's like the climax of, there's a confrontation, and they kind of, like get away from the dad or whatever, but it actually kind of turns it on its head a little bit. So it's just a really good story. I really like it a lot. So I would do that. And I would cast, I don't know, who would I cast that's like a youngish actor as a young male lead?
That's a hard one because I don't know any of the young actors.
Yeah, I don't know any young actors either.
Jaden Smith.
I can only think of him and like Michael Cera, and Michael Cera's like older than me.
Michael Cera's like 35.
I know, and I can't. I was just like have like him in my mind from Superbad.
Oh man,
but I don't think there's no way he could play the character, like the main character who's like a young alcoholic, like crazy, like just an angry, bitter person because he's too like no, you know, like Michael Cera.
Maybe you could like hold auditions and then your marketing could be like and introducing and like just some new person. You know how they do,
cool. Yeah.
Like when they did the remake of the song Annie when they did. I had to sing this song to remember that. Anyway, so when they did the remake of Annie, all the marketing was like, and introducing the young actress who played Annie. I can't remember.
There she
name.
is. Yeah. So
yep.
I think I would want like all fresh new actors. Actually, I think that would be interesting.
You wouldn't want to use any.
I wouldn't. I would probably be like some like Sundance.
You know who would make a really good alcoholic dad?
Who?
Ben Affleck.
Ooh, yeah. Oh my gosh. You know what? Yeah, Ben Affleck would be the dad 100%. And then I need a mom who's like addicted to antidepressants.
Oh man.
Who's also in
Jennifer
the story.
Lopez.
Oh no. Oh, can you imagine though if I had the cast of that like play out my favorite book?
Gigli? Is that what? Weren't they in that together?
Yeah,
Gigli. I think is what. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Affleck J-Lo movie. I'm pretty sure it's Gigli. And it was Jersey Girl and Gigli. What? It's both. Anyway, Gigli has a 2.4 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
No. It would be much better than Gigli, I think. Yeah.
So, man, we're really like hard stereotyping people right now. Like, drunk dad, Ben Affleck for sure.
Yeah. Depressed mom, Angelina Jolie.
Oh, did you say Angelina Jolie before? Yeah. Oh, I guess so. I mean, I'd be depressed if Brad left. Anybody would be depressed if Brad left.
Yeah.
Man, that feels like it rhymes, but it doesn't quite.
We're on the cusp.
Anyway, I love Brad Pitt so much. Oh, I love him so much.
Would you have Brad Pitt in your movie? You would just like write him in?
Hold on. We have to build the movie around Brad Pitt being in it.
Does he play himself or is he a character? What if Brad Pitt played himself in your movie? Like, would you put yourself in your movie? Like, would you put yourself opposite Brad Pitt?
Here's the problem is, like, I would want to see something that was, like, brand new, but also I would want to see, like, an author have their book made into a movie, but also, I have all these ideas. Yeah. So, like, there's this really interesting book. I thought it was good. It's probably not super popular, although I'm not sure, but Pat Rothfuss recommended it one day, and it was like $2 on Amazon or something, so I just picked it up. It's called California Bones, and it's basically, like, the premise is that it's an alternate future, or an alternate present California, where, like, California is its own country, and there are other countries that used to be states around it, and there's all this magic, these various kinds of magic, like water magic, and water magic plays a heavy role, but the magic that the main character knows, he was taught to his dad, and it's basically bone magic, where he makes, like, concoction out of bones, different kinds of bones, and drinks them. Ugh. And so, like, I think that'd be pretty rad. Brad Pitt's a little too old to play the main character in that, unfortunately, but that would be a really cool thing to make. Plus, like, there's a lot of, like, with magic always comes, like, interesting stuff you could do with graphics, or graphics, is that the right word? No.
CGI?
It's not CGI necessarily, but special effects is the word I'm looking for.
Special FX.
Yeah. So you can always do that kind of stuff with it. I think it would be a really cool thing to make, but it would be kind of in the vein of, like, stuff that has been done but is sort of, like, avant-garde a little bit, like The Island kind of thing, where it's like a science fiction movie but isn't expected to be like an what's the one with the...
War of the Worlds?
Inception.
Oh,
that's
okay.
Right.
I was thinking of like the sound they make when they like come out of the ground.
Oh yeah, that's a scary.
That's such a scary movie. That movie scares me.
Whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it would probably be in those kind of veins where it wouldn't be like a huge hit, like where it wouldn't be expected to be. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like Inception, of course. Yeah. It's like the Batman guy's newest movie, and it's very crazy, and I can't believe he was able to do this, but it's amazing. You know, like that kind of stuff. And then he did the one with Matthew McConaughey. Doesn't it also start with an I?
Interstellar?
Interstellar, yeah.
Matthew McConaughey in space.
And people like, man. Anyway, so this is very tangenty, Steve. You're not even answering the question anymore. Now you're just mentioning movies.
I find it interesting, the difference between our two movies that we would choose.
Well, yeah, I knew that, like, when you started, I was like, oh, I wonder what the interesting sci-fi twist on this is going to be. And then I was like, wait a minute, it's probably not going to have that.
It's going to be dramatic. Also, actually, not to say, there is a movie or a book I would like to see be made into a movie also. It's actually like a dystopian, like sci-fi-ish novel called Wool. So by Hugh Howey. Really like that book. It's really good. It's like on Amazon for like 99 cents. He's self-published, but it's a really good book. It's like he does a really good job at like world building, I guess, which I usually say is hard for me to like get in the mindset of, but he did a good job, so I was into it. So, oh man, it's funny, my brain is real weird right now because I feel like I want to talk about so many different things in this vein, but there's just no reason. There's no reason to like have another line of conversation on this right now because I'm just like, we could talk about world building, we could talk about self-publishing, we could talk about other dystopian sci-fi books that make great
movies. Like, there's just so many options. And we could go to all of them, but maybe we should just go to another question.
We probably should.
Know, like, anyway. I feel a little bad, like, restricting us with our sort of stream of consciousness podcast. You know what I mean?
We told them we would read the questions.
That's true.
We got to give the people what they want.
Well, do they listen to us for us rambling? Probably not. Or do they listen to us for
listen to themselves, or they listen to us to hear themselves.
That's true.
Being talked about in the podcast.
It's true.
I would listen to a podcast.
You're like, I hope they answer my question.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of that,
you don't. I mean, the bar's not too high on this one, but anyway.
Lindsay E,
a regular listener and commenter.
She asks, "What's an AMA?"
It's an Ask Me Anything.
Hey. Also, what got you interested in starting a podcast, and where would you like it to be in a year? We kind of talked about this a little bit.
Yeah. So just to set the stage for this upcoming question. I think
what started us getting interested in the podcast, it kind of was a joke, I feel like, at first. Because I started working at Salt Lake, and I would see Steve a lot on the train. And we're like, hey, we're here, and we're always, like, talking about, whatever as we're riding the train. And we're like, we should start a podcast. We can call it Train of Thoughts and interview people on the train. Yeah. Which I think would still be kind of a funny idea, but I also don't want to get arrested for harassing people on the train. And I want to solicit strangers for their conversation, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that seems like a crazy idea.
So, but I think we kind of just were like, hey, let's just do it and see how it goes and see what happens. And the first episode, and it's kind of... a little long, I think, because we would record for like an hour and a half and break it up into 2 separate episodes. Yeah. But we started recording and we had like a really good flow. Yeah. I guess we're kind of both surprised, like, whoa, how did we talk for like an hour and a half without stopping? Yeah. It's amazing. So, I don't know, keep a conversation going.
Yeah. So like I was interested in starting a podcast anyway, just because like we had finally moved into the house that we were building and like starting to get kind of settled, and I was like, maybe I can start doing cool stuff again, which I feel like I was limited in doing because we were like sort of displaced for a little while. Yeah, you were like
moving in a different place, and so
So I was interested in starting a podcast, and Alicia happened to say that on the train one day. Mm-hmm. She was like, we should start a podcast, like, as a joke. Yeah. And I was like, well, if you really want to, like, I am quite interested in doing something like that. I want to make $35K a month.
I also would like to make $35K.
So anyway,
and where are we interested in taking it? I guess to the moon.
Yeah,
and back.
It's such a weird question to talk about, like where you want the podcast to be, because to me, like, the question is always, and maybe it's wrong to answer this way, but it's always numerical. Mm-hmm. Like, I always think right now we're at, with the last couple months have been at least 500 downloads a month, which is cool. I don't know how long we can sustain that, because we had a couple of really big influxes.
Yeah.
But like, if we could sustain that level of downloadership every month, then we could start growing a little more. And I really feel like there's a certain point where you grow to, and then you can start growing in a wider way, like more exponentially. So like, but I don't know what that point is.
Yeah.
And I've never been able to like find anything online that talks about like, your podcast will look like this for a while if you keep going.
It's not really like a formula for it, because every podcast is so different. Well, and ours is kind of just more like, we meet up and chat about things. It's not really specific to anything. We don't have a specific niche per se, but that's what people have said that they really liked about it. They always say, oh, it's like listening to two friends, and I get to talk, they talk about stuff that I think about sometimes.
Right.
So
yeah. And like we're technically in the comedy category, and I think that category is like in the world of iTunes is really hard to break through in, just because there are a bazillion comedians who have podcasts.
Yeah, we're just kind of like a little itty bitty indie podcast.
Yeah,
so indie.
Yeah, and we have reached out to one network, like podcast network, just to be like, hey, how do you decide, kind of thing. And they gave us like, send us a proposal, basically. And we could potentially do that, but like, you're also, then you have to be part of the network and do whatever's involved with that. And I don't know what that is exactly.
Yeah,
so like,
it's just kind of like stepping out into the unknown, I guess.
So I guess to answer the question of where we'd like to be in a year, I don't really know. Like,
I mean, I don't know. Like, maybe because we are doing a convention coming up at FireCon June 8th through the 10th.
Yeah, we're going to be there on June 10th.
Yeah, June 10th, yeah. And we will be there and recording a live podcast, which is going to be a new thing for us. So, I don't know. I guess doing more live podcast, doing a podcast from a hot air balloon maybe in the future. I don't know what Steve's recording capabilities will be in a year. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a drone. I don't know why we'll have a drone for a podcast, but we'll have it.
A drone for a podcast? Anyway.
It's like a sex tape for a podcast.
We made a video one time that had that bit from... Anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go back and watch How to Grow... or Bad Ideas to Grow Our Audience, the video by Plain Donuts, if you want to watch it.
And I think we both think it's pretty funny.
Yeah, we liked it. I worked really hard on it because I thought that was a funny section. Video. So anyway, it's great. It's really good. I think wherever we're at, we will be having a fun time, hopefully. And like, I think that's part of the reason that I like to see us grow in numbers, because I think the more interaction we can get from the audience, the more fun it will be for everyone. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, that's kind of been our thrust ever since we started taking questions, is like we really want this interaction. Yeah. So yeah,
boy. Thanks for asking that question, because that's part of the interaction that we so desperately crave.
Oh yeah.
Notice me sometimes.
Hey, it's your boy, Steve. It's your co-host, Steve, here in the middle of the podcast. Just interrupting, as always. Welcome to the middle of the show. Thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you very much. We love you very much. All of those things are very true. Hey, just wanted to remind you of a couple of things. Thing number one, you can find all of our backlog of episodes, information about the episodes, links to the episodes, links to iTunes, links to our social media, all on yourplaindonuts.com. That is YOUR, plaindonuts.com. So you can go there and find all that stuff. In particular, a thing that you might like to see is our social media links that I mentioned. We've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll always announce when we're taking questions or confessions or whatever for the podcast on those pages, Twitter and Facebook in particular. So if you respond through those channels, you're much more likely to get your question answered or your comment read on the show. So again, yourplaindonuts.com to find all of that stuff. And you should be able to easily find links to our Twitter and our Facebook and other stuff. Oh, we also have YouTube, in case you were wondering. Another thing that's super helpful there is if you'll go click that link to iTunes and leave a rating and review. It's always just super helpful for us in the iTunes world. We mentioned on the podcast this week that it's unlikely that we'll ever break through the comedy podcast rankings without those ratings and reviews on iTunes. So it's super helpful, very impactful if you can go and leave those for us. I would appreciate it with my whole heart. More than that, though, I would actually appreciate you just sharing the show with a friend. You can always find links to each individual episode on yourplaindonuts.com. You can just go click the titles, and that will take you to a URL that's specific for that episode alone, and you can share that around on any place you like. We super appreciate it. That's really the way we grow. We're finally starting to see a bit of organic growth that way, and it's really exciting and cool, and that's all because of you guys being totally awesome. So that is all I have for the middle of the episode. I hope it wasn't too businesslike. I hope you feel loved and just totally like you have been given all the attention you need and deserve. And that's a lot. Anyway, okay, love you. Enjoy the rest of the show. Bye! Moving on.
Regular listener Sheldon O. Hey Sheldon. Asked us, what is your drink of choice? That's pretty broad.
Yeah, he followed up and said, mine was SoCo and Coke back in my drinking days. Now it's Mountain Dew.
What is SoCo?
Southern Comfort. I think
like
it's
the
rum.
Iced tea? Oh yeah, you're right.
Rum and Coke. Basically,
I was like, why
would
you mix iced tea and Coke? That sounds disgusting.
Rum and Coke.
Coke. Okay, that makes way more sense.
Yeah. I don't drink a whole lot. And it kind of varies what I like depending on the season. My most consistent drink that I'll probably drink like a beer a week, roughly.
Yeah, calm it down, Steve.
I know, it's pretty serious. But that's the thing I'll drink most consistently as far as alcoholic drinks go. So, and then it like mixed drinks, it kind of varies. I like whiskey sours. I like White Russians. I like all kinds of stuff. I'm just not. I like the taste of things, so whatever comes up. But yeah, I'm not a huge. My regular sort of everyday drink of choice is Coke Zero. So
I love that Coke Zero.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah. I don't know. My drink of choice, I like sweet tea. If we're looking at the liquor type of beverage, I really like sweet tea. Mm-hmm. And I like tea and I like coffee. My alcoholic drink of choice is probably I like gin. I like gin Rickies. Oh, so I like gin and lime juice essentially.
Yeah.
I think it tastes good. I like martinis.
Yeah, so. People like what's the thing with lime that people mix commonly?
Moscow Mule?
No, it's
like a tequila?
No, it's literally just like lime juice plus liquor. I can't remember what it is.
I don't know.
Anyway, somebody's gonna be like, Steve, I can't believe you don't know the drinks, and I'm like, guys, I don't know what it is.
It's not a margarita, right?
No, it's not a margarita.
I was like, I can't think of anything else with this, just lime and something.
All I remember is
Is it lime and like rum? Because I feel like that's a popular thing too.
I don't know.
Like coconut or something?
I just remember I had a house with some roommates in Salt Lake by Trolley Square, and one day our neighbors were like, "We're making these drinks," and like I was like, "Oh, what kind of drink is it?" And they said the name of it. I think it has a name, but what it boiled down to was some lime juice and this liquor, and that was it. Like, but I can't remember what it was they were drinking. So
sounds good.
Sheldon also asked, "Did we answer the question fully enough?"
I think we did.
Cool. He also said, "How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?" I don't know.
According to Mr. Owl, it's 3.
I bet Google knows the answer. Like, and I'll bet it won't be some
ask
dumb
Siri
joke.
Or Google?
Do you want to? Should we ask?
We can ask Siri.
Hey Siri, how many licks to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop?
Checking my sources. Here's what I found.
Come on. Come on, Siri.
Wolfram Alpha responded 3,481 licks.
That seems like a lot. Does that seem like a lot to you?
Well, I can lick pretty fast, so
Like, okay, I guess
I don't know.
Does it depend on, like...
People are making faces, and I do not know what they mean.
The duration, like the amount of time your tongue is, like, the area.
What constitutes a lick?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to get at? Whoa! So Otto, the producer, is making a gross face at me.
Gross. Ew.
I don't know what constitutes a lick. Probably just
Like,
one
just,
in,
like, just-
out, swipe in is
Okay.
probably what
Like the surface area. What's this, like the average surface area of a tongue? It's probably, because it's not the whole thing, right?
Probably like a half inch, I would
half,
say.
yeah.
You,
Okay, 1/2 inch of moist
a
tongue.
half inch by 1 inch, probably.
Per,
Like if you lick
point-
pretty...
For like 1 second.
I don't
per
know,
lick.
3,400, what was it, 3,471 or something like
Yeah.
that? That's a lot of licks.
That's a lot of licks.
Those Tootsie Pops can really take their licks.
They sure can.
Anyway, that was a joke about a euphemism.
We're so euphemistic.
Euphemistastic. So, we have one more question from the Plain Donuts page, and I love this question.
This is a good one.
Because, well, it's both because it's a great question, and also this is actually Sheldon's wife, which is awesome, but she's not direct friends with either of us right now. If you want to be friends, totally, why not? But like, I'll be friends with you. But this is a first for the Plain Donuts podcast, besides from Vance last week, where it's a total stranger who heard from somebody else who's a listener to listen to the podcast. Not total stranger, obviously.
Vance is like 100% stranger.
Yeah, but he didn't hear from a friend.
Yeah,
like
that's
he
true.
just heard because Brandon happened to be a fan of Brandon, right? So this is our first organic reach.
Whoa.
Our first real organic growth.
Thanks.
Natalie, you win. Natalie VO. Natalie voiceover.
Yeah.
Anyway. She said, do you want me to read it? I'll read it.
Sure, go ahead.
You are stranded on a deserted island. You can have with you one book, one movie, and an unlimited supply of one food. Go.
My book is How to Survive on a Deserted Island. Probably. I don't know why I would have a movie, because I wouldn't have a TV to watch. If I had...
Let's imagine
Okay, let's imagine I have a magic TV with a magic DVD player to watch this one movie.
Sure.
I choose Tropic Thunder.
Okay, because it's island
It's
themed.
really funny. I like that movie. It's really stupid. I like it. And my food of choice is real, authentic tonkatsu miso ramen. It's got a little bit of, like, it's got some egg in it. It has some meat in it. It has veggies. It has, like, carbs from the noodles. It has, like, a nice broth.
Did you just, like, come straight from Brooklyn with your, like, natural American cigarettes? What are those called?
American Spirit?
American Spirit
yes,
cigarettes.
I did. See?
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
With your beads in your hair.
Hey, don't judge me, man. I'm just trying to catch the dollar cab down the Q9, all right? So leave me alone. Just kidding, because the dollar cabs run on the bus routes. Q9's a bus route.
Nice.
In Queens, so that joke doesn't even make sense for Brooklyn.
Okay. Wow.
For all of our...
You know way more about New York than I do.
All of our New Yorker listeners. All 0 of you, because we have Google Analytics traffic. And
we might. I don't know. I haven't been paying that much attention.
So?
I do know one guy named Joel who lives in New York. He also recently released like a mixtape, I guess you would call it, or maybe just an album. But It's called
Congrats.
Brown. His name. Oh, well, he won't mind. His name's Joel Brown. And his release was called Brown is the New Black. And I listened to it, and I was like, this guy's good. Like, it's rare that you listen to your friends' stuff.
Mixtape, and you're like, this is good.
Yeah. It's for some reason, there's not like just a constant wave of really good things coming at you, unfortunately. Oh man, so
oh, here goes.
Let's talk about the experience of like consuming media made by your friends. So it's like somebody's like, oh, I do this thing. Like, for example, Corinne was like, I wrote this thing. And the first thing I read by Corinne, we happen to be friends on Facebook, and she's like, I released this book. There's an audio version of it, but I'm self-published, so she just went through some audio service to self-publish it. Oh, is it getting hot in here?
It is.
Let's instead of like removing clothing, let's just make it a little less hot. Okay.
Steve took off his pants already, and that's just weird. So
yeah. Sorry. So Corinne said I released this thing. It was hide and seek. You could still go find it now. And I was like, all right, well, I have a personal philosophy that you should always support your friends if it's going to cost you less than $5. Always. So like, I think her audiobook was like $3 or something. I can't remember exactly.
Way less than $5.
Yeah, it was an audio short story basically, but it was like well less than what that advised amount is. So I got it, and when you get something new from a friend, it's always like you have high hopes that it's going to be good, right? Like, because they're your friend and you're rooting for them and you want them to do a thing that's good. And you also sort of anticipate the moment where it's not great and you don't know how to talk to them about it at that point, right? So you're like doubly invested in this thing being a good thing that they've produced, right? And luckily with that, it was actually really good. Like, she had hired a professional voiceover actress to do it. I don't know, she found a website where you can just find
That's
people
cool.
to do that, which is really cool. And actually, it's the same lady who's reading Don's Hill. I don't know if the Don's Hill audiobook is released yet, but it was actually really good. There was one spot in it that I had a small critique, and so I like messaged Corinne. I was like, hey, this was really good. I really enjoyed it. Thank you for this wonderful surprise. Because often when you get a new thing from a friend, it's like, I want this to be good. Also, I don't want to have that awkward conversation. Yeah. And then it's not great. And you don't know how to have the conversation. And so you're just like, hey, I got your thing.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's very awkward. And the other thing is, like, when it comes to artistic things like that, like, there's always the risk that you just don't understand it, like, to a degree, right?
Yeah.
Because some people are writing things or producing things or whatever for an audience that is like a popular audience, right? Where they want it to be well received by a majority of people, or a majority of people who like a certain kind of thing. Like for Corinne, that it was kind of like a horror suspense short story. So people who like those kinds of things, you would hope you like they like your thing too, right? Sometimes people are just producing stuff so that it's like, it's very abstract and kind of avant-garde and just an idea, right? And so for me, like, when I read that kind of stuff, I'm like, I don't know how to gauge this. So there's the risk that I hear a thing or read a thing or whatever, and it's not great, but I'm like, maybe I just don't understand what they're trying to do. So you don't want to have a conversation where you're like, here's where I think you could improve, and they're like, nah, man, I love it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I had such an awkward conversation with a friend one time because he's like, our band is the best goth band there is.
Yeah.
We need to expand to other markets. We're that good. And I was like, if your band wants to expand to other markets, like, you're going to have to emphasize other parts of the band.
Yeah.
Because, like, these other markets that you're thinking of don't like the emphasis that your band has in this certain area right now, right? And he was, like, pissed that I said that. And I was like, I'm just trying to help, man.
Yeah.
You know, like, and not. That's the problem with me, is I think I know a lot more than I actually know experientially, so it's not a very great thing. But anyway, so It's always a really wonderful surprise when your friends produce things that are good. What were we saying? Why did I go down this?
I don't remember, actually.
But anyway, yeah. It's very awkward. We started talking about being stranded on a desert island and all this stuff.
We ended up... support your friends.
Yeah, support your friends. Okay, so if I was stranded on a deserted island, you have one book, one movie, and an unlimited supply of one food. The movie, I'm not sure exactly. For a long time, I literally watched... what was that reference you made earlier with the character who's too old to play the other character? The guy who's too old to play the other character. What's
Michael Cera.
Michael Cera. Good
Yes.
lord, they just slipped out of my mind. And he was in Superbad. That's right. I kept wanting to say like Breaking Bad or Orphan Black or something like that. Like,
okay, let's just pause for a second and imagine if Michael Cera was the main character in Orphan Black. Okay, no, because Orphan Black, the premise is, right, there's a bunch of her clones or whatever,
right,
who are like very different characters.
Mm-hmm. Michael Cera's never cast to play different characters.
No, and I can just imagine a movie with several Michael Ceras in it, like, interacting.
I want to hear Michael Cera doing an English accent. That's the only thing I want in my life, is just for him to be like...
Does he have Twitter? Can we tweet at him?
Oh, man, we could. I'm sure
English accent?
I don't know.
I bet Lin-Manuel Miranda could teach him an English accent.
I bet he could.
He's doing Mary Poppins right now in London.
Nice.
And I might see him maybe. I don't know. I might be desperate enough
Nice
to go look for him. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, so that would be really hard, but there was a period of time in my life where I watched Superbad literally every day.
Oh, man.
I just loved it so much. I thought the jokes were all like, they landed perfectly, and like and it was just like establishing its own kind of pace for the way they spoke, and this whole thing, I just loved it.
That was, I think, one of the first movies of its kind to come out, because now that's kind of a more popular format.
Yeah.
I don't know, like maybe like a young adult sort of, I don't know, not taking itself too seriously.
Yeah.
Like, it's a comedy, but it's not trying to take itself seriously like a comedy would.
And it's so interesting because, like, it's extremely crass.
Yeah.
But, like,
I want to quote it, but I can't quote anything.
Yeah.
Because our podcast is for everyone, so.
I gotta get a glimpse of these warlocks.
Like little baby toes.
Anyway. It's a really good movie for what it was as comedy. Yeah. And also, like, it was easy. I don't know. I didn't feel guilty like watching it over and over because there's like no like graphic nudity or anything in it.
Who is your favorite character
in the movie?
Yeah. It's not McLovin.
No, it's not McLovin.
McLovin was my favorite character.
I liked McLovin fine, but he wasn't like he felt a little bit tokenish to me. Yeah. Like, oh, the token nerdy guy who gets befriended by people who are
it's just so, or the cops are pretty funny too.
Yeah, I think the cops are really funny. I don't know.
Michael Cera's character, Emma Stone's in that one too.
I liked Emma Stone's character in that one a lot, actually.
Jonah Hill, that's the name of the main guy, right?
Yeah, okay. My favorite piece of that movie was the interactions between Jonah Hill and Michael Cera. Mm-hmm. They were always just so good. So it's hard for me to say like one character or another was my favorite, because my favorite part was actually that
the two of them
situation.
Together.
Yeah. So, and actually, little fun fact, that movie was written by Seth Rogen and his writing partner, whose name I can't remember, Evan something.
Evan Rogen.
No.
Evan Rogaine.
It's, I can't remember, but they wrote it in high school, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Whoa, weird.
And I'm sure they made it better over time.
Yeah. But I guess that's how I like captured that kind of really awkwardly awful like high school feel, because you can watch high school movies that people have made and they're written by adults and it's like really easy to tell that they were written by adults, but that one is definitely like a, oh man, I felt this feeling before sort of situation.
Yeah, I think it's Evan Goldberg. Yeah, Superbad. So Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg were like high school friends, and they wrote that movie, which is really cool. Like, I was not doing anything near that cool in high school.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just am really impressed by people who make things, I guess. I want to make stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right, so you chose.
okay,
you
so-
finally have picked
I guess Superbad. I
your
don't know.
movie.
Sure, why not?
What is your book and
Book.
food?
Okay, so my book, and this is gonna sound cheesy coming from like a Christian person, but I've been thinking about this recently. I think you honestly could make a case, minus any religious. My wife is making noise, and she always makes a big. She didn't make that much noise, but she always makes a big like production out of when she makes noise in the back.
There's glitter everywhere.
Anyway,
Steve's taking off his shirt now. Steve, what are you doing? No.
No, okay. So minus any like religious stigma to this book, I think you could make a case that given all the different types of genres, all the different stories, and all the different ways of writing stories and ways of writing different things, I think you could make a case that the Bible is actually maybe the best book of all time. And that sounds really stupid,
Is it the
right?
goat, Steve?
I really think, like, and I know that sounds super cheesy, like, if you're not a Christian and you know I'm a Christian, you're like, of course you'd say that. You're a Christian. Like, here's the thing is, because it's not actually a book, it's a compendium, right? It's a collection of other smaller pieces of writing. So, sorry, we're having a minor.
I tried to signal to Otto that I wanted a tissue, but apparently he's making a
You're
big
throwing
production.
Otto under the bus because Otto's like, I don't know where there's a tissue, and Alicia's like, I
just get
really
up
need
and
a
get the
tissue.
tissue.
So we had this awkward moment where I'm like, I know there's some tissue around here.
He's doing mimes now. He's saying, I want to kill you. He wants to strangle me.
It's all right. It wasn't Otto's fault. It was just a comedy of errors amongst all of
And
us.
I have a tissue now, in case you're all wondering.
Thank you, Otto.
Thank you, Otto, for the
Melissa. I'm sorry for disrupting the whole podcast for this small comedic moment. But anyway, like, and that's the thing is the Bible is just a bunch of other writings that are all put together. So it's really easy to say that, like, yeah, given what it is, like, it's actually a collection of really quality writings. Although they all the writings sort of focus on the same overall theme to a degree and like that kind of thing. It's just one of those. So I honestly, like, for the sake of interest over the long course of time, I think I would take the Bible with me. And I'm not necessarily only saying that for religious reasons, right? I'm saying it because I think it would keep my interest if I had to be stranded on a deserted island for a long time. Also. But anyway, is that... I don't know, is that too...
Gosh, Steve, you're such a nerd.
Did I couch it too hard?
Such a nerd.
Anyway, one food is so easy because there is a specific statement that says you have an unlimited supply of one
Are you
food.
choosing a buffet?
I am choosing pizza because you can make pizza in so many different ways with so many different ingredients that I could wake up every day and have a different kind of pizza.
I guess in that case, you could say the same. You can make the case for ramen also.
You could, yeah.
You can make many different ramens. You can have, noodles on the side, extra noodles, like soba.
Are you trying to say that ramen is as versatile as pizza?
I'm saying ramen is the East's answer to pizza.
You think ramen is the Asian version of pizza?
I think so.
I don't know if I would agree with that. I don't know if I'd quite agree with that. I think sushi is the Asian version of pizza.
Sushi is more specific to just like Japanese food.
Sure, that's fair. Like, but ramen is sort of kind of specific to what is
Ramen's
it
like,
Vietnamese or is it
you're
kind
thinking of pho?
I'm thinking of pho. You're right.
Yeah. So
Ramen isn't ramen Japanese too?
It is, but it's more. I think it's just like when you think pizza, you think like more American type pizza,
sure,
right? So,
right. Yeah, I'm not thinking of like traditional Italian pizza only.
So I think ramen is the East version of pizza.
Okay, fine. I'll give this one to you. I still think it's sushi because of the variety of ingredients, but
you can put so many ingredients in ramen.
You're okay, fine. Fine. Can you
just
put
haven't
cheese
had
in it?
Yes, you can. You can have cheese ramen.
You're right, actually. I read a recipe last week for, like, it was like, this guy was Vietnamese and he was a chef, and so I think it was like the New York Times or something asked him, like, how do you make ramen just, like, from a bag or whatever if you wanted it? And he was like, well, you make the stuff, you put... I think he said some sriracha on it or something with an egg and a slice of American cheese. Yep. And I was like, what?
Yeah. You can add like peanut butter into it to make it kind of more like a Thai peanut Thai thing.
Because Thai what's that Thai peanut sauce? Yeah. It's really
and there's
good.
like same with pizza too. You can make a breakfast pizza. You can make like
you can make all kinds of pizzas. Make all kinds
Dessert
pizzas.
Dessert pizza, yeah.
I'm hungry. This podcast is 1 hour long, and we've only been through the plain donuts questions. Geez. We do have some questions on other places. Let me check my post. I'm not sure if anybody actually asked a question on my... Oh, nope. You did, but we'll skip your question for now. Jameson asked a question on my post.
He also asked a question on my post.
Oh, okay.
Oh, snap.
Jameson's first question is sort of easy for me to answer, or Jameson's question on my post is sort of easy for me to answer. It's a funny question. It says, would you go a year without brushing your teeth or a year wearing deodorant that smells of poop?
I guess I'm a little confused why I'm wearing deodorant if it smells like poop.
Exactly. It does not take away the odor. Yeah. You're right. But it's actually easy to answer for me because I can just chew gum if my breath smells bad. So,
but I feel like, I don't know, when I don't brush my teeth, I feel like my teeth are wearing socks.
It would be so gross.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to have to go 100% deodorant that smells like poop.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Team deodorant that smells like poop. Any day, at least I will be able to wash, like, I can go home and I can take a shower. And after my shower at night, I will be clean and I'll have my teeth brushed and I'll go to bed and I won't smell like poop.
See, this highlights two separate concerns that you and I have in life. Like me, I'm like, if I smell like poop all day, everybody's going to notice and that's going to suck and I don't want my friends to be uncomfortable. That's pretty much my whole thought process. And your thought process is, my teeth feel like they're wearing socks, and I do not want to experience that for a whole year.
I can't imagine the level of decay that I would experience from not brushing my teeth. And I guess not just that, but like the plaque.
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I guess you could floss still. But
yeah, but it's not like his question isn't limited to like not caring for your teeth at all. Yeah. So I would like find different ways to
like mouthwash.
Yeah. Oh man, mouthwash would be my go-to. Yeah.
Drink. Although there's nothing quite like the scraping feeling. No,
brushing your teeth feels good.
Hard toothbrush up against your teeth. It's just so satisfying.
Great. Let's go to your post. Otto asked us some really good questions. Inlaid in which is a very uncomfortable story from me, remember. Or we could just not answer that question, which might be the better option.
I think, due to the nature of our podcast, we probably should go with his second question.
Okay. All right.
Just because I feel like you could not tell the story to completion to how it should be told. You know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to be told in a certain way, and we couldn't do that.
Yeah, here. Just because this is kind of a family-friendly place. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Sorry, you're just going to have to sit on that one, you guys.
That story is never going to get told, actually. Probably. To the public. That's too bad. Unless we do plain donuts nights. Just kidding. So anyway, should we answer one of Otto's questions anyway?
Sure.
Fine. He said, what's the scariest thing that's ever happened to you?
Oh, the scariest thing.
Okay, so I can... Oh, man. I used to have a bit about this, actually, when I did comedy, so maybe I shouldn't retell the story. Because
I have a callback to one of our earlier episodes.
Oh, yeah, from when you...
About when... Yeah, the most scared I have ever been was... And there's more of the story, I think, in episode, 3, very early on in the podcast.
Yeah.
But I was walking actually near Steve's neighborhood now in Roy.
Yeah.
And it was summer and it was hot, but a lady was she pulled over to the side in her van and was like, hey, you want to ride? Blah, blah, blah. And because I was stupid, I was like, okay, I'm only going up to the street to 7-Eleven. I'll get a ride from you. Yeah. And, as soon as I got in the van, I'm like, this was, a terrible mistake. She could kill, it was a van, full of stuff. I couldn't see, what was in the back behind me. It was crazy. And she was just being kind of weird. Yeah. And then when she came to 7-Eleven and she looked at me and she's like, you shouldn't have gotten in the van, or you shouldn't have come with me, or something like that. And I was like, oh, like, I was like, in that moment, like, this is where she kidnaps me and keeps me in a basement for 18 years, and I have to have, like, 5 babies born in this basement, and we all live in the basement in the darkness forever. So...
You would grow to love the babies.
No.
I'm just kidding.
This is... Like, I actually recently read Room, and so there's a movie about the girl who's, like, kept in that room for 7 years and had, like, a baby, and that literally is my worst nightmare.
Okay.
So, that was, like, a small... millisecond of feeling like so out of
really terrified.
I was so scared, but she just dropped me off and then drove away.
And you were like,
like, you know how they have those stories of kidnappers who like kidnap women and then like brainwash them to like help them kidnap other women. And I was like, was that like, I don't know. So I could have been killed. So that's my brush with a serial
anything
killer.
could have happened. Yeah. You said you had an update to that.
Oh, no, that was just a callback. But
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was like, what? Is there more to this story?
I wish I could give an update. I almost want to kind of go and, like, research, you know, like, in this area, if there's been any, like, kidnappings or, you know, like, mysterious things that have happened, just because, I don't know. She was from Utah. That's all I know. She had Utah plates, and she was driving, like, a slightly light blue, like, minivan with a bunch of stuff in the back. So
yeah, scary.
Spooky.
I think the scariest thing that's ever happened to me is, okay, there's 2 parts to this story. The second part is actually crazier than the first part.
Oh boy.
So like, I was one day with my friend driving on the freeway to go like meet some people and do something or whatever. I was in my dad's old Jeep Cherokee, and the road for some reason went from one type of asphalt to another type of asphalt, and like where it did, for some reason, like my car just like lost the
like traction,
and we started spinning around
on the freeway.
It was terrifying.
Yeah, that's like a poo your pants a little bit sort of moment.
It was horrible. And so like we spun around a couple times, and then I don't know, I like backed 90 degrees angle into the barrier in the middle of the freeway, right? It was like literally a 90-degree angle, and the only thing that happened to the car, which is kind of a bad thing actually, but the trailer hitch got pushed forward, and so it actually bent the frame of the car a little bit. But like it wasn't like we could keep driving. Yeah. It was totally fine.
That's so crazy.
And it was like really terrifying, right? And so I was super shook.
Yeah.
And like
I'm shook.
The next day, I still lived with my parents at the time, and the next day I got in the shower. And like, you know, it was a really weird moment because like I was
What's
taking a shower,
happening next with the
and
story?
Like, the sun was like shining through the window and stuff. It was like in the sunny time in the morning or whatever, and like I looked down and this little droplet of water was like hanging off the tip of my nipple, and in that moment I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. Because you know, life, that kind of stuff makes you appreciate the little things. Later I found out, so I had this girlfriend in high school.
Like, okay, so we've spun in the truck.
Yeah.
You've appreciated the droplet on your nipple.
Yeah.
And then how far are we fast forwarding?
Just to that I heard something very briefly thereafter.
Oh, okay, so like a couple weeks or something.
So this was after high school, about a year after high school ended. So I don't know. I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to like dox somebody or whatever. I had this girlfriend, and for a long time after high school, I was still like pining after her, like wishing we would get back together or whatever. And so like, which is bad. Anyway, I later I was like, man, I almost got in this crazy accident, nearly died, and she happened to be like in the same circles that I was in a bit. So like, she like basically said, I can't believe that happened. That's so crazy. Like, Oh, this is it's so bad. It's so cringy. I'm so sorry, everyone. I'm so sorry.
I love the cringy Steve stories.
Oh,
They're
man,
my
I'm so
favorite.
sorry this happened. But she basically was like, yeah, I can't. That's crazy. Like, I feel so terrible. She literally said, a couple weeks ago, I was praying that you would die. And I was like, what? Because she was like, it's so complicated right now. Like, you're making my life really hard because you like me and I don't like you anymore. Like, I hate you. So, like, yeah. So, like, it was really uncomfortable. I was like, I doubt those two things are related. Like, maybe you shouldn't pray for people to die, but, like,
Whoa.
So, anyway.
Do you still know where this person?
Yeah, we still have occasional contact.
Are you like friends on Facebook or anything?
I don't
I want to find this person.
Yeah.
I want to know who this person is that like wished for you to die.
Wow, it's fine. Everything. This is all well in the past.
I know, but I don't know. It's just
we have
interesting to
both
me.
grown into fine adults. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
Like it's so awkward to talk about these old things because there are plenty of things you could point back to Steve and be like, remember when you did that? And I would just be like, yes, I remember, you know? So like, so anyway, I don't know. Maybe we should end with that. What do you think?
I mean, I don't know what we can do to top someone like not liking you, like disliking you so much. They literally pray for you to die.
Don't make it more awkward than it is. I can't feel my legs.
I can't function. I can't. I am shook by that moment. And meanwhile, she had no idea that you were appreciating life in all forms.
I know.
As a droplet of water dangled.
I know.
From
Seriously,
your shower
it's just.
on your
I mean,
nipple.
how can you think life doesn't have meaning when that can happen? Anyway, I'm just joking. So,
I think on that note,
all right, cool. Well, this has been the Plain Donuts podcast. Thank you for all your questions and for listening.
Love you all.
We love you very much, almost as much as a droplet of water on our nipple. Okay, well, gotta go.
Love you. Bye.